You know this Minecraft game mode, right? But what if I told you that I made it in Krunker? Oh my god! Oh my god! No! Wait! Oh my god! But whoa. Let's go to the beginning. How did all of this even happen? In the beginning, there is this dreaded plane of nothing. Often, this is the hardest step, going from nothing to something. But in this project, there were a bunch of other challenges. This might have been my most difficult map to make so far. What made it so challenging? I'll show you. In the very start I had to design a platform, and this platform that I designed so early on stuck till the end, with just a few changes. Then I measured the distance of where the walls should be and added a light or the sphere below. Soon after, the first walls emerged. You might recognize these. These are indeed the first walls I ever made. Very basic ones. But this green one's pretty difficult. On the 27th of April, I did some big progress. First was the logic to you getting teleported in and getting points, but this will be reworked later on because there was an exploit that you could do and this doesn't even work properly in multiplayer. I also added these fancy things with cylinders in the bottom and more walls. There's also this design here with the grass and stones that did not stay longer. This is horrible. Then I decided to add this ball right here. This ball will stay here for a while, but soon after you will see that they will be floating above you in the sky. You might recognize this already. Here is the leaderboard nowadays. And another update. Now you might be more familiar with the map. Here you have the outside design. Initially there was an ocean, which I later removed because it's too buggy. And here I already implemented some of this fancy design. And here you can see some walls. The code to make the walls move was such a struggle to make. And the entire logic. Every update I improved the code and made sure everything worked. That was just such a behemoth to do. Apart from building the whole map, so it was basically two things in one. Here's also a fun thing about the map. Here you can see the pink and the purple walls. On the left side there's always one version, where on the right side there is a similar version. For example, here being the middle open but the sides blocked on the purple one, and here the opposite. Or for the pink ones, they're really similar but different at the same time. This is a theme of how I made the walls. So there's two sets of walls that are similar enough but quite different actually. Then it was time to seal everything up. Now they're all behind these screens hidden inside of here, and the walls, the borders, so you can't jump in anymore are in place. And the buttons, yes, all of these buttons, they're not perfectly in place yet, but most of them are placed down. On this side we have all the buttons that can spawn damage things. Here are all the buttons that can spawn platforms, and here that remove the floor. Then a really important thing, the leaderboard, the place every player is looking at, stood in place. And here I wrote down extra things I wanted to add, like B-Hop and the board games. Next is a huge update. I changed the entire environment. I made a planet you're standing on. Everywhere are all of these blocks coming out of the planet, and finally I'm using this purple ball and making stuff in the sky. I also made the leaderboard work way better and added a top 50 leaderboard. Look at all of these lights shining added. And I also added the change logs, the explanation, and a little sign to tell your friends. And over here is gonna be the server room. You will see it later, but for the design I really wanted this colorful, friendly, open design. That's why you're on top of a planet and there is just air everywhere and everything's colorful and light, because this is just a theme that many players will enjoy. And then I started doing the button logics. All of the buttons are now in place, but now I have to connect them to make sure they even do anything. We're here on May 1st and I built a parkour. I had an insane motivation rush and built this parkour. If you didn't know, the entire thing about this parkour is that it is initially really easy, and then depending on your skill, you might get further up or not. So in the end, it is really, really, really difficult. And in the beginning, it's super easy, so everyone has a challenge. Everyone can get as far as they can, and barely any player will ever beat this. I don't think anyone has even gotten up to here. Not even Phil members. Probably the only person who could beat this are Infinity ranked Phil members. Also, fun fact, initially there wasn't even an island between these two, so you had to slide up over to this part. Below here I used a custom texture on a cylinder. But that part wasn't even all. I had to add 3 or 4 more jumps, an insane cliffhanger and a gap at the end to make sure it's really not completable by normal humans. And I started doing the trigger logic properly. All of these buttons you see right here, everything is connecting to the middle. This is looking insane already, but I managed to know where everything goes. I knew what everything did because I made it in such a short time frame. Otherwise, this is impossible to keep track of. I will be moving all of these things into the server room. You'll see that swiftly. Now, all of the triggers are in place. And you can see right here is the ghost called Squish Bean. Here's the cube, here are the things that the ghost can't move out of. Over here are all the platforms, everything here is connected to remove the floor. And all of these things properly work. And now they have to be moved into the server room. And I also started out with the platform for the board games. I decided to go for a slightly different visual design for all of these platforms. Here you have this yellow stuff, this beam going down. Here you just have this solid brick. Also, a thing that can't really be shown here are the optimizations I made in the game. So initially the map was really laggy, and then I kept on doing optimizations and made sure everyone has decent FPS in it. Still, it is a little bit heavy on FPS, but it is way better than it was initially. And in this save, you can see I added all the buttons and moved all of them into the server room. This is what it's for. It is the organized place of all of the triggers that I need for anything in the map. Some of these in-game aren't shown because they're start destroyed, so you can sometimes only see them pop up for 1 second. Also for the server room I had some lighting issues, and I fixed that by placing an invisible cube somewhere very far out, which is the most random fix ever, but it worked. Also for the lights here, I'm using point lights. The same lights I'm using around here to make the arena properly lit. Further progress has been made, mainly all of the things around. Now we have the board games, or at least the start of it. Here you have the cyclic thing that you can hit and then you can get to the maximum board game figure here, and the same thing goes for this side. Over here we have the pizza. Yes, every single cylinder. These are all cylinders with really fancy textures to make them look organic and everything. Here even again a light above it to shine. These are also connected to the server room. Everything connected to this one thing that you can always order a new pizza. Over here we've got the trampolines all at different strengths, and here you can see again the design under the platforms. These ones are slightly rotating around. And over here we've got an actual trampoline that you can bounce really high on. Also around the area, you might not have noticed, I added all of the blocks outside. This planet, as far out as you can see, there are all the various different blocks. Every single of these blocks is looking different. And it is just now a planet of all of these funny things. It is very colorful. It is very friendly and open, but I will change the skybox very soon. Here the skybox changed. I will change it a little bit later on too. This has a very Tetris feel. The map isn't really about Tetris, but I thought this would just really fit together because these are the textures of the walls. I polished more around the place. I added some buttons that are pretty useful. I could have added a heal button if I'm thinking about it, because right here is the boxing ring. Players love this place. They can just go in here and PvP with their knife. Also, another thing people love is this horizontal parkour. It is super easy and there are many ways you can beat it. And at the end you can just chill here and even go backwards again. My general philosophy about making this map was, how can I make sure that every player enjoys it as much as possible? If it's noobs, if it's pros, I made sure everyone has fun. Even like people who just want to chill, people who like to annoy others with buttons. While you're in the game, you're always engaged. And while you're out of the game, I had to make sure the players are still keeping engaged. So you have all of these buttons, you have tons of board games and other things to do, the parkour up here that you will never beat. You will never feel like you finished this map, not only because you will never be number one on the leaderboard, because when you get number one, someone else on the next day is gonna snack it. And the parkour is so insanely difficult that you will also never ever beat it. So there's always some progression you can do. For new players, the beginning is easy enough so that they have a chance, they have some fun in the beginning, and for more experienced players, they can see all their others fall off, but then they stay up to like 200 score where it's actually challenging for them. There is the only problem: players that are really good may be a little bored in the beginning up to 100 score, but that is a compromise you have to do to make the game enjoyable for both new players and good players. I may make a nightmare version of this map at some point. Then, on the 6th of May, I published the map. Past this day, I kept improving, I kept updating the Krunker script, catching bugs, catching any problems that were anywhere, and trying to make this map the best I could make it. Also, the treasure hunts. If you didn't know, there are 2 treasure hunts. There's the treasure hunt shoreline and there's the treasure hunt deep sea. You basically, spoiler warning for the first cube of shoreline, you can skip forwards 20 seconds. So here would be the first cube, and once you knife it, a second cube spawns somewhere on the map, and then you knife that one. And once you went around the whole place one after another, like you see the string here, go to one, you knife this one, and then you go to the next one. And once you've gotten all of them, you completed one of the treasure hunts. The shoreline one is a lot easier than the deep sea. I also added signs everywhere, so you know where everything is. We've got the pizza here, and we've got the board games, and we've got the trampolines, and this is now looking like a really proper map. Outside here I did a little trick with the link texture to make it look like lights. Yes, this is one object per side and not like 7. Over here, this is also a cylinder that is poking out and making the lights. Over here the screens are spheres that have a moving texture. And I updated the water. Remember earlier when I said there was an ocean that I used that was too laggy? Yes, now I used a custom texture I uploaded as the water, and it's looking even better now. This whole castle is standing firmly on its ground on this huge planet. And then, as I published the map, I played it a lot. I playtested it on stream, I played it with friends, and everyone loved the map, but there were a lot of things that I needed to do You can read through them in the current changelogs thing, but one of them was that this button was initially 50% chance for 3 seconds to remove all the light gray objects. If you didn't know, these blue outlines are not collidable, only anything with green outlines is collidable. So this button was really OP. I had to nerf it from 50% in 3 seconds to 25% in 2 seconds, and still sometimes people press it. I may need to nerf it even further. From this day on, there are 4 more days left until the end of the competition where I have to submit the map. And I kept on finding things that I improved. I added more walls. You saw the walls earlier. They're really basic. But then I added some really fancy walls later on. You can't really see all of them in this jumbo mess. I also did some details like the signs, that they are more centered and better looking. And so many small changes that you can check out and read on this map if you play it, if you're really bored. Then there was a problem with the scoring, that if you tabbed out, you could still get points, so I had to fix that ASAP. So you can't just tab out in the middle and not be pushed by anything and still get points, which was horrible. And I also, do you see these things in the bottom? These 2 red things. I had many iterations of these, of how I should design this, and still to this day they are a little bit, you know, sometimes people just that are new to the map don't understand that they go away in 10 seconds and then they just fall off, but I try to make them transparent and red. The reason they're there is that if you spawn in, you don't instantly fall off. Also, one insane problem I had with the map. If you've played it now, you definitely haven't noticed because it's so smooth and flawless. But then, there was a problem. Because I used to end the game with the normal game end thing. You know, in pubs after the 4 minutes the game ends, I basically did the same thing here. So after 10 seconds where no one's in the middle, the game ends. But then the screen with the leaderboard stays there for like 20 seconds. And then the game starts after another 10 seconds. So you had to wait like 40 seconds to play again, which was horrible as an experience. Later on, I fixed this by completely rewriting the whole logic, how I did the round ending. I did that on the last day of submitting. I rewrote the whole logic of how everything resets and submitted an hour before before the deadline. It was insane. And now the game ends after 5 seconds of you not being in the middle and then instantly starts again after 5 seconds. No more wait time, and you just get teleported in instead of the round ending. Also, one thing was the speed scaling capped out at 5 minutes, which is 300 score. But me and someone else got to that cap, and I noticed that it isn't actually that insanely fast. So then I added speed scaling past 5 minutes. It doesn't scale that fast anymore, but it keeps on getting faster. And now here we are, the very optimized map, and it's really fun to play. Just recently I had another stream where we just couldn't stop playing. And from that stream recently, I thought I'd clip some moments to put into this video. So here in the end you will see a bit of gameplay. Also play the map yourself, especially with friends, because it's really funny when they try to hit you off with removing the blocks on the sides. Have fun with these funny moments. Yo, you wanna ghost guest 15? I made him fall off. No, don't stand on the red. Jump! Jump! Oh my god. Oh, wait. Oh my god. With this strat I can still... I can still only stay in middle. No way! No way! This is the meta! No, no! He removed the inside, but the others fell off. Good to know I can chill on the outside while this guy's camping the inside buttons. And the other one is camping the middle buttons. So I just sit on the oh my god, he moves to the outside ones! He's moving to the inside! This guy hates me! These guys are praying for my downfall! It's insane. But not this guy too! No, you got me! No way! You got everyone with the button! You got everyone with the button, no way! So this is the entire story of how this map was built. Try out this map, you know? Have a look at this map, give it a go, play with some friends. And if you want to see some stuff about another competition that time I won, watch this video right here. I'm showcasing the map that I built for it. And perfectly fitting Pep. Yep. Goodbye. Thank you very much for watching.